So we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about some proportions, and we're going to get into working with totals now. So remember, we kind of had this breakdown of saying we could compare the two parts in a ratio, or we could compare a part to the total. So here we're working with a problem. A school has an exact ratio of boys to girls. So sometimes I just like to write that above the numbers so I remember which one's boys, which one's girls. So we have boys to girls. So 4 boys to 5 girls. There is a total of 747 students in the school. How many girls are there? Okay, so we know a total and we're looking to see how many girls there are. So we're comparing girls to a total. Right, and I'm going to shorthand it for my second one, girls to total. So let's set up a ratio, okay? So first one, we have 4 boys to 5 girls. So we know the girls. So how do we get a total here? Well, if I add these two together, 4 plus 5, we get 9. So that's going to be our total for our first ratio. There are 4 boys and 5 girls. I have 9 students total. Okay, now it says we have, for the second half, 747 students, total students, but we're looking for how many girls there are. So we're going to leave that as X. So we want to solve this as a proportion, so we're cross multiplying. We're going to get 9X equals 3,735. Go ahead, divide both sides by 9 to find that X equals 415. So final answer, there are 415 girls. So always make sure to write out your answer. That's part of the problem, and make sure you have good units on there. Okay, let's do a couple more. A restaurant does a study to find out that there's a ratio of customers ordering seafood, so 9 is seafood, to customers ordering other meals. So I'm just going to write that as O. So 9 seafoods and 16 other meals. If they assume the same ratio holds true on a Saturday night, they know that they prepared 108 seafood meals. So this is 108 seafood meals. How many other meals can they assume they had to prepare? So we're looking for other meals. So in this, all we're dealing with is seafood meals and other meals. It never asked for a total. It never gave you a total. So we don't need to worry about that. We're looking for seafood comparing to other. We're going to set that to another ratio, seafood comparing to other, to create our proportion. Okay, so our first ratio was that 9 to 16, 9 seafood to 16 other. And in the second half, it says they prepared 108 seafood, and it didn't say anything about how many other meals they prepared on a Saturday night, right? It said that that's what we're looking to find, so that's what we're going to leave as our X. Okay, so cross multiply and solve. We'll find that 9X equals 1,728. Divide by 9, and we get the X equals 192. So they had to prepare 192 other meals. And I just realized I wrote 198, so let's fix that. Or 199. There we go, 192. Okay, last problem. This one's going to be a little bit different. So we're going to have to use some skills that we learned actually back in our last video with linear real world applications. So let's take a look at this. A box of only red and blue pens has a ratio of 3 to 7. So that's red to blue. Red pens to blue pens. If we know there are 24 more blue than red pens, how many red, blue, and total pens are in the box? Okay, so it's asking about, it tells us about a ratio of red to blue, and it's asking us to find both of those parts and a total for the second half, all right? So because it started with a part-to-part comparison, I'm going to keep that up. I'm going to keep comparing red to blue. And we're going to find our part in order to find our total. I'll find our two parts and add them together to get our total. Red to blue. Okay, so we already know the first part here, 3 to 7. But what we need to figure out is this second part, because it didn't actually tell us how many blue pens or how many red pens are in this box, this second box. It told us that there are 24 more blue than red, but that's all it said. So just like in a couple videos ago where we were looking at Jerry and Tim and their ages, I'm going to write out red and blue. And I'm going to say, okay, there are 24 more blue than red. 24 more blue than red. So because red didn't have anything written, that means that's my kind of starting value, the one that I'm going to base everything off of. And blue is going to be whatever red is, and then 24 more. So plus 24. So now I have something to describe red and blue, and I can put it into my ratio. So we said red is our X, and blue is however many there are for red, plus 24. Okay, so we just had to do a little extra step to find those two pieces. But we're going to solve it the same way. Cross multiply and solve. So remember that this is a quantity because we're adding two terms there. So we're going to have 3 times the quantity, x plus 24, equals 7x. So we want to distribute 3x plus 72 equals 7x. Okay. Get all my x's on one side by subtracting 3x from both sides. And we find that 72 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4. 18 equals x. But we're not done because x was just red, right? Red we had defined as x, which is 18. Okay. But blue we had defined as x plus 24. So that's going to become 18 plus 24, which is going to equal 42. Now for our total, we want to add red and blue. So that's 18 plus 42 to get a total number of pens as being 60.